welcome to the Rose at Home channel. I'm Rose, I am at home, and I am again so incredibly glad that you have decided to join me today when I'm going to talk about books about books. So in the past few weeks making videos and pulling books to talk to you guys about them, I realized just how many books about books I have on my shelves in my TBR and that I've read. And there are so many in those two categories that this is going to be a two-part video series. So today I'm going to talk just about the ones that I haven't read yet, the books about books that I own but are in my TBR. I'm so glad I did this, y'all, because there are some that I almost forgot that I had. So it's like shopping in my own shelves, which is super fun. So let's just get down to it. You might want to grab a snack and something to drink because there's a lot of books we're going to talk about today. The first one is Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma, and I've heard people say Törzs. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but this was in my book of the month last month, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be excited about all of them, but I am really excited to get to it. So, what this is about. For generations, the Callahan family has guarded a collection of ancient and rare books. Books that let a person walk through walls or manipulate the elements. Books of magic that half-sisters Joanna and Esther have been raised to revere and protect. All magic comes with a price, though, and for years the sisters have been separated. Esther has fled to a remote base in Antarctica to escape the fate that killed her mother, and Joanne has isolated herself in the family home in Vermont, devoting her life to the study of these cherished volumes. But after their father dies suddenly while reading a book Joanna had never seen before, the sisters must reunite to preserve their family legacy. In the process, they'll uncover a world of magic far bigger and more dangerous than they ever imagined, and all the secrets their parents kept hidden, secrets that spare centuries, continents, and even libraries. This sounds amazing. So speculative, books, family drama, I am here for it and cannot wait to get to it. So the next book, I believe also speculative, was my Mother's Day gift from Liam, and it is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I love Mark Lawrence. I love the Assassin Nun series, the Red Sister, Gray Sister, Holy Sister trilogy. I love those. So I am super, super excited to get to this one. It is a chunker, so I've got to make sure that I've got time for it. But I'm going to read you what the flap says. I'm going to tell you, though, that it doesn't give much away. So it is a very long book to go into blind, but it's Mark Lawrence, so I am here for it. Two strangers find themselves connected by a vast and mysterious library containing many wonders and still more secrets in this powerfully moving first book in a new series from the international best-selling author of Red Sister and Prince of Thorns. The boy had lived his whole life trapped within a book-choked chamber older than empires and larger than cities. The girl had spent her days in a tiny settlement out in the dust, where nightmares stalk and no one goes. The world has never even noticed them. That's about to change. Their stories spiral around each other across worlds and time. This is a tale of truth and lies and hearts and the blurring of one into another. A journey on which knowledge erodes certainty and on which, though the pen may be mightier than the sword, blood will be spilled and cities burned. It sounds amazing, and yet I still am not 100% sure on plot, and I think that's kind of awesome. I love that I get a hint of what's to come, but I get to go in fairly blind, and I am for it. Hopefully I will be able to get to this. Again, it's a long book, but I can't wait to be able to read it. The next is another speculative type book that I actually talked about in one of my first videos when I pivoted into books, which was the books for AAPI month. I'm absolutely going to talk about it again because it does sound super amazing. And it is The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. And again, this one is another chunker, but this seems so outside of anything that I have ever read before, and I am here for it. Okay, so One year after the death of his beloved musician father, 13-year-old Benny O begins to hear voices. The voices belong to the things in his house: a sneaker, a broken Christmas ornament, a piece of wilted lettuce. Although Benny doesn't understand what these things are saying, he can sense their emotional tone. Some are pleasant, a gentle hum or coo, but others are snide, angry, and full of pain. When his mother, Annabelle, develops a hoarding problem, the voices grow more clamorous. At first, Benny tries to ignore them, but soon the voices follow him outside the house, onto the street and at school, driving him at last to seek refuge in the silence of a large public library, where objects are well behaved and know to speak in whispers. There, Benny discovers a strange new world. He falls in love with a mesmerizing street artist and a smug pet ferret who uses the library as her performance space. He meets a homeless philosopher poet who encourages him to ask important questions and find his own voice amongst the many. And he meets his very own book, a talking thing, which narrates Benny's life and teaches him to listen to the things that truly matter. Doesn't that sound awesome? I don't even, even with that description, I kind of know premise-wise what's going to happen, but I don't know what at all to expect from this book. And that, again, super, super exciting. I am here for it. I think it's going to be a really good read. The next is another Book of the Month book, and this is The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer. So this one, from what I understand, is a bit of a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but with books instead of chocolates. I think that's where this is going. So, years ago, a reclusive, mega best-selling author quit writing under mysterious circumstances. Suddenly, he resurfaces with a brand new book and a one-of-a-kind competition, offering a prize that will change the winner's life. Lucy Hart knows better than anyone what it's like to grow up without parents who loved her. In a childhood marked by neglect and loneliness, Lucy found her solace in books, namely the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. Now a 26-year-old teacher's aide, Lucy is able to share her love of reading with bright young students, especially 7-year-old orphan Christopher Lamb. Lucy would give anything to adopt Christopher, but even the idea of becoming a family seems like an impossible dream without proper funds and stability. Just when Lucy is about to give up, Jack Masterson announces he's finally written a new book. Even better, he's holding a contest at his home on the real Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy. For Lucy, the chance of winning the most sought-after book in the world means everything to her and Christopher. But first, she must contend with ruthless book collectors, wily opponents, and the distractingly handsome and grumpy Hugo Reese, the illustrator of the Clock Island books. Meanwhile, Jack, the mastermind, Masterson, is plotting the ultimate twist ending that could change all of their lives forever. That sounds like an amazing adventure, and I can't wait to get to go on it. It's not super long, so this one will definitely be on a monthly TBR list sooner rather than later because I'm so excited for it. And the last one that I feel like falls in the speculative fiction kind of realm is one that has been on my shelves since it came out, and I feel like it's one I have to be in the right headspace for, so I haven't gotten to it yet, and that is Matt Haig's The Midnight Library. From what I understand, this one is really sad. That's what I've heard, and so again, waiting for the right time. Between life and death, there is a library. Up until now, Nora Seed's life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everyone down, including herself. But things are about to change. When she finds herself in the Midnight Library, she has a chance to make things right. The books in the Midnight Library enable Nora to live as if she has done things differently. Each one contains a different life, a possible world in which she made different choices that played out in an infinite number of ways, affecting everyone she knew, as well as many people she never met. With the help of an old friend, she can now undo every decision she regrets as she tries to work out her perfect life. But things aren't always what she imagined they'd be, and soon her choices place the library and herself in extreme danger. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question. What is the best way to live? It sounds amazing and wonderful, and I get why people might think it's sad, but yeah, I am looking forward to it. I just want to make sure I'm in the right headspace for it. Hi, you can't tell there was a break there, but there was a break there because we are having some pretty severe thunderstorms, and at first I thought I would stop so you don't have to hear the rumble, but then I was like, it's like you're at my house and we're hanging out talking about books while it is storming. So I've decided to just leave it. You get to hear the pitter-patter of rain on this window that my light's coming in. So I want to pick up right there. I have one romance that is a book about books that I have not read yet, and then I am looking forward to, and I think I upset a few people with not liking Emily Henry's Happy Place. Sorry, we all have our own opinions, and that was mine, but I absolutely loved Emily Henry's Beach Read. It is one of my top romances of all times, and it will more than likely, well, it will definitely be in the video next time for part 2, but the one I haven't read yet, but I'm very much looking forward to, is Emily Henry's book Lovers. And so if you're unfamiliar with this one, Nora Stevens' life is books. She's read them all, and she is not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved little sister, Libby. Which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August, when Libby begs her for a sister's trip away, with visions of a small town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics in meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or a bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lystra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute, if not for the fact that they've met many times and it's never been cute. If Nora knows she's not an ideal heroine, Charlie knows he's nobody's hero. But as they're thrown together again and again in a series of coincidences no editor worth their salt would allow, what they discover might just unravel the carefully crafted stories they've written about themselves. That absolutely sounds like exactly my type of romance, and I am here for it. I cannot wait to get into it. I hope it's as good as I'm expecting, but yes, this one is going to be on a very, very soon TBR. I don't know how loud that rain is for y'all. Okay, this is a scary storm. It's not that scary. I'm in my house. I have a house. I bought a house. If you've watched videos about me buying my house and still stuck around for books, yay, you're absolutely my kind of person. But the next set are literary. There's a lot, I think, of historical fiction thrown in through this part. I'm looking forward to all of them. Historical fiction is something that I don't read a ton of. It's again, something that to my mind is a little more niche that I have to absolutely be in the mood for, but when I am, I absolutely love it. And we're gonna start with Kristin Harmel's The Book of Lost Names. Oh, such a beautiful cover. Eve Traube Abrams, a Florida librarian, is at the returns desk one morning when her eyes lock on a photograph in a newspaper nearby. She freezes. It's an image of a book she hasn't seen in 65 years, one she recognizes as the Book of Lost Names. The religious tome in the photograph, a French text thought to have been stolen by the Nazis, contains a mysterious code that researchers can't decipher. Only Eva holds the key. But does she have the strength to revisit old memories and help reunite those parted in wartime? In 1942, Eva escapes Paris after the arrest of her father, a Polish Jew. Finding refuge in a mountain village in the Free Zone, she learns to create false identity documents for Jewish children fleeing to neutral Switzerland. But erasing people comes with a price, and with the help of a resistance forger named Remy, Eva finds a way to preserve the real names of the children too young to remember their true identities. The record she keeps, encoded in the Book of Lost Names, becomes even more vital when her resistant cell is betrayed and Remy disappears. As the Germans overrun the library where Eva and her allies have been working, she must run for her life, not knowing if she'll ever see the book again. But she has encoded it into pages one last vital message, and she will never stop hoping for its answer. That sounds heartbreaking and beautiful and all the feels. I know when I read it, I'm going to love it. I just know I do have to be in the right headspace for something this heavy. And so that's why it hasn't been picked up yet. I've had it for a while, but it's going to happen and I know I'm going to love it. The next is one I kind of forgot I had, so I'm so glad I'm doing this because I'm rediscovering older things from my shelves. A couple of summers ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Barnes & Noble did a thing where over, I believe it was a weekend, they had over 100 hardback books that were all 50% off. It was in the middle of summer. It was amazing. I got so much of what you see back there was from that sale. I went all in on this sale, and I believe that's where I picked this up, was in that group, which is how it kind of slipped my mind that I had it. But it is The Lions of Fifth Avenue by Fiona Davis. And this, I believe, is about the library in New York. So let's see. It's 1913, so another historical fiction. And on the surface, Laura Lyons couldn't ask for more out of life. Her husband is the superintendent of the New York Public Library, allowing their family to live in an apartment within the grand building. That would be awesome. And they are blessed with 2 children. But headstrong, passionate Laura wants more. And when she takes a leap of faith and applies to the Columbia Journalism School, her world is cracked wide open. As her studies take her all over the city, she is drawn to Greenwich Village, this new Bohemia, where she discovers the Heterodoxy Club, a radical, all-female group in which women are encouraged to loudly share their opinions on suffrage, birth control, and women's rights. Soon, Laura finds herself questioning her traditional role as wife and mother. But when valuable books are stolen back at the library, threatening the home and institution she loves, she's forced to confront her shifting priorities head-on, and may just lose everything in the process. 80 years later, it's 1995. Sadie Donovan struggles with the legacy of her grandmother, the famous essayist Laura Lyons, especially after she's wrangled her dream job as a curator at the New York Public Library. But the job quickly becomes a nightmare when rare manuscripts, notes, and books from the exhibit Sadie's running begin disappearing from the library's famous Berg collection. Determined to save both the exhibit and her career, the typically risk-averse Sadie teams up with a private security expert to uncover the culprit. However, things unexpectedly become personal when the investigation leads Sadie to some unwelcome truths about her own family heritage. Truths that shed new light on the biggest tragedy in the library's history. That's amazing. And if I was in the bookstore and just saw that, I would pick it up. So I'm absolutely going to be picking this up off of my shelves very, very soon. I can't wait. Like, it sounds so good. Okay, this is one that I picked up recently, but I'm going to share it again. It is The Secret Book of Flora by Patti, Callahan, Henry. And this also sounds like it's going to be a heavy hitter, a heartstring tugger. Oh, and I know I've showed these before too, but look at those end pages. I don't know where I am. Okay. Look at that. I love beautiful books, and I love books where they make effort to make all of the parts just like right there. In war-torn London of 1939, 14-year-old Hazel and 5-year-old Flora are evacuated from their home to a rural village to escape the horrors of the Second World War. Living with the kind Bridie Aberdeen and her teenage son Harry in a charming stone cottage along the River Thames, Hazel fills their days with walks and games to distract her young sister, including one that she creates for her sister and her sister alone. A fairy tale about a magical land called Whisperwood, a secret place they can escape to that is all their own. But the unthinkable happens when young Flora suddenly vanishes while playing near the banks of the river. Shattered, Hazel blames herself for her sister's disappearance, and she carries that guilt into adulthood as a private burden she feels she deserves. 20 years later, Hazel is in London, ready to move on from her job at a cozy rare bookstore to a career at Sotheby's. With a charming boyfriend and her elegantly time-worn Bloomsbury flat, Hazel's future seems determined. But her tidy life is turned upside down when she unwraps a package containing an illustrated book called Whisperwood and the River of Stars. Hazel never told a soul about the imaginary world she created just for Flora. Could this book hold the secret to Flora's disappearance? Could it be a sign that her beloved sister is still alive after all these years? As Hazel embarks on a fevered quest revisiting long dormant relationships and bravely opening wounds from her past, her career and future hang in the balance. An astonishing twist ultimately reveals the truth in this transporting and refreshingly original novel about the bond between sisters and complications of conflicted love and the enduring magic of storytelling. That just seems like a book I kind of want to hug. I don't know if you ever feel that way, but I know I'm going to love this. I know it's going to be heavy. It's not super long. It's kind of taller to be, so it's not super short, but I know, just the description has got me, got my heart in its hand. So I know I'm gonna love this. Continuing, we have the Paris Bookseller by Kerri Maher. I love that color. The illustration is beautiful. Okay, so let's see. When bookish young American Sylvia Beach opens Shakespeare and Company on a quiet street in Paris in 1919, she has no idea that she and her new bookstore will change the course of literature itself. Shakespeare and Company is more than a bookstore and lending library. Many of the prominent writers of the lost generation, like Ernest Hemingway, consider it a second home. It's where some of the most important literary friendships of the 20th century are forged, none more so than the one between Irish writer James Joyce and Sylvia herself. When Joyce's controversial novel Ulysses is banned, Beach takes a massive risk and publishes it under the auspices of Shakespeare and Company. But the success and notoriety from publishing the most infamous and influential book of the century come with steep costs. The future of her beloved store itself is threatened when Ulysses' success brings other publishers to woo Joyce away. Her most cherished relationships are put to the test as Paris is plunged deeper into the Depression, and many expatriate friends return to America. As she faces painful personal and financial crises, Sylvia, a woman who has made it her mission to honor the life-changing impact of books, must decide what Shakespeare and Company truly means to her. That just sounds awesome. I don't even know what to say. It just sounds amazing. It's going to have some really great characters, and I cannot wait to get to it. I seem to have a lot of kind of historical fiction or period pieces that are books about books. I did not realize till I pulled things for this video. This one I do believe is historical fiction. It is The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek by Michele Richardson. And I have this one in paperback, so I can just read the back. The folks of Troublesome Creek have to scrap for everything. Everything except books, that is. Thanks to Roosevelt, Kentucky Pack Horse Library Project, Troublesome's got its very own traveling librarian, Cussie May Carter. Cussie is not only a bookwoman, however, she's also the last of her kind. Her skin is a shade of blue, unlike most anything else. Not everyone is keen on Cussie's family or the government's new book program, and along her treacherous route, Cussie faces doubters at every turn. If Cassie wants to bring the joy of books to the complex and hard-scrabble Kentuckians, she's going to have to confront dangers and prejudice as old as the Appalachians, and suspicion as deep as the holler. Inspired by the true blue-skinned people of Kentucky and the brave and dedicated Kentucky Packhorse Library Services of the 1930s, The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek is a story of raw courage, fierce strength, and one woman's belief that books can carry us anywhere, even back home. So that sounds great. That sounds amazing. It's historical fiction, but not typical, not the regular thing that we see. So I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, the next thing on the list is Lisa Wingate's The Book of Lost Friends. And this is another period literary piece, and it sounds amazing and heart-tugging. Best-selling author Lisa Wingate brings to life startling stories from actual Lost Friends advertisements that appeared in Southern newspapers after the Civil War, as newly freed slaves desperately searched for loved ones who had been sold away. Louisiana, 1875. In the tumultuous era of Reconstruction, 3 young women set off as unwilling companions on a perilous quest. Hanny, a freed slave; Lavinia, the pampered heir to a now destitute plantation; and Juno Jane, Lavinia's Creole half-sister. Each carries private wounds and powerful secrets as they head for Texas, following roads rife with vigilantes and soldiers still fighting a war lost a decade before. For Lavinia and Juno Jane, the journey is one of stolen inheritance and financial desperation. But for Hanny, torn from her mother and siblings before slavery's end, the pilgrimage west reignites an agonizing question: could her long-lost family still be out there? Beyond the swamps lie the limitless frontiers of Texas, and improbably, hope. Louisiana, 1987. For first-year teacher Benedetta Silva, a subsidized job at a poor rural school seems like the ticket to canceling her hefty student debt, until she lands in a tiny, out-of-step Mississippi river town. Augustine, Louisiana, is suspicious of new ideas and new people, and Benny can scarcely comprehend the lives of her poverty-stricken students. But among the gnarled live oaks and run-down plantation homes lie the century-old history of 3 young women, a long-ago journey, and a hidden book that could change everything. So yeah, another one that's historical fiction, another one that's absolutely gonna get at the heartstrings. Journey story with women, I'm all about it. So I'm super excited for this one too. And the last one that I want to talk about today, I know this has been a lot of books, but I am so excited for it. This one is a thriller that is about books and writing, and it is The Writer's Retreat by Julia Bartz. And I so cannot wait to get to this one. So what happens in here? Alex had all but given up on her dreams of becoming a published author when she receives a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity: attend an exclusive month-long writing retreat at the estate of feminist horror writer Rosa Vallow. Even the knowledge that Wren, her former best friend and current rival, is attending doesn't dampen her excitement. But when the attendees arrive, Rosa drops a bombshell. They must all complete an entire novel from scratch during the next month, and the author with the best one will receive a life-changing 7-figure publishing deal. Determined to win this seemingly impossible contest, Alex buckles down and tries to ignore the strange happenings at the estate, including Rose's erratic behavior, Wren's cruel mind games, and the alleged haunting of the mansion itself. But when one of the writers vanishes during a snowstorm, Alex realizes that something very sinister is afoot. With the clock running out, she must discover the truth or suffer the same fate. That sounds amazing. I am here for it. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. This feels like an October read, so you might see this on a TBR coming really soon. Okay, so make sure that you go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so as soon as part 2 comes up, you can be sure to see that one right away. That is going to be all of the books that I have that are about books that I have already read. So that one will be more reviews and more my thoughts on those books about books. And in the meantime, I truly hope that you have an amazing week and that you get to read some wonderful books, maybe books about books. Bye, y'all.